Welcome to the Leverage Show. This is Brett Ingram. I want to share a story with you today that has a really important point that I think you'll find a lot of value for in your business. And it sort of relates to the normal constraints and issues that we always have as business owners, right? I mean, we're always thinking, geez, if I only had more income with this particular thing, I'd have a bigger budget, I could spend more money, and then I could hire the right people. If I only had more time, then I could get this project done and that project done and all these other things. And it becomes dangerous when we start to look at outside sources and say, well, look at how well they have it. Look at how well they have it. If I had that kind of revenue stream and if I had that many employees and then I would do this. But here's why it's dangerous, and here is why this is a really important lesson for your business to learn. No matter what stage you're at right now, whether you are rolling in money so fast that you don't know what to do with it, or whether you're really down to your last couple of nickels and you're not sure what to do. This is why this is so important. So the story for me dates back a few years. And I was sort of working my way up in the industry that I'm in. And I had finally made the right connections and the right relationships, and I had the right product, and it was sort of the perfect storm, but it wasn't an overnight success in the making. It took me years to get to that point. So I launched this product, and we have the biggest launch that, I've ever done, and everything's going great. And then I feel like, okay, I am totally set because not only are things going really well, but I can just keep doing this now. I've arrived, so to speak, right? And so basically what happened was I was becoming a little bit overwhelmed by the amount of work that I had. And I had said for a long time, geez, as soon as I start making more money and bringing more money into the business, I'm going to start hiring people. I'm going to start getting better solutions and better technology. And that's exactly what I did. So I had a lot of extra money that I could allocate however I wanted to. And so what I decided to do was I went out and I hired 5 people, and they were just outsourcers, but I was paying them by the month. And so I had hired 5 people, and I had spent a lot on some new technology stuff that I thought was going to be really good for the business. I invested some money in developing some new products that I thought would be really cutting edge. So on the surface, everything sounds fine, right? I mean, after all I did was try to grow my business by investing in the things that were working. But here's where I made the mistake, and this is one that I hope that you will avoid. So I sort of had this belief, although I didn't consciously think of it that way, that money would solve all of my problems. That if I just threw money at it, everything would take care of itself. You hire people, boom, I don't have to do any more work, that I don't want to do. I can just do the stuff I want. Get new technology, boom. I don't ever have to worry about working with stuff and making it work because I know I got all the best of the best. All of these kinds of things. I've got this great product. I don't have to worry anymore about tech support and things not working the way that I want them to. But the reality of it is, and this is a big danger, and I see this with a lot of business owners, is I started to become a little bit detached from the day-to-day. Now, when I was working my way up, I was very involved. I was pushing and driving the bus every single day to make sure that everything was working. But as I got busier and money became easier to come by, I became a little bit detached from the specific things that I was working on and started to hire people and just expect them to do what I needed them to do. And so, overnight, I went from sort of a 2-person operation to 7 or 8, which still isn't huge, but I have a small footprint. That's the way my business is designed. And I tripled the company's size basically overnight. So the problem was I didn't have a lot of clarity. So I didn't have specific roles for everybody. And when I had new technology that I was spending money on, I didn't really think it through. I just knew I could afford it. Everybody said it was great, so I should buy it. I had a very expensive customer CRM system to handle customers and fulfillment. I was going to build out all of these huge sales funnels and conversion leads and all this other stuff. And none of it, I was never able to get to any of it. I wasn't paying close enough attention to the operations of my business. Now, I want to step back here for a second. Don't misunderstand. I wasn't on the beach having a good time. I was still working every day in my business. It isn't like I detached from it. I was still there, but I was focused on other things, and I wasn't worried about whether or not the business was going to continue to run. I wasn't worried about the stuff that always kept me up at night, generating enough sales to continue to pay the bills and keep the business going. None of that stuff bothered me anymore. It was all about how do I grow really fast. And so I tried to grow so fast that I wasn't really prepared for it. And what ended up happening, if we fast forward a little bit, is I ended up spending tens of thousands of dollars that I just completely wasted because I had outsourcers that I paid for months that really did very little for me. I kept telling them, oh, I'll get something to you soon, and I always intended on it. And then the ones I did give it to, I wasn't really following up with them closely enough. They weren't doing a good job. And as soon as they recognized that I wasn't paying close enough attention, then, as you might imagine, they started to take advantage of things, billing me for more hours than they were really working, not really producing things. All of a sudden, something that used to take an hour was taking 2 and 3 hours. And everything started to fall apart because I wasn't careful enough with the way that I grew the business, but also how fast. Instead of growing it gradually and at each new level, being very conscious to make sure we had sort of hit equilibrium and then grew some more, I just was shooting for the moon. I said, okay, we're going to go from A to Z overnight. It's going to be a huge success. And I had all this technology we weren't using. I'd spent a ton of money on stuff that ultimately was a total waste. And then the worst thing of all happened. That would have been bad enough if then I had recognized it and everything was fixed. But no, the market fell apart. So then on top of it, not only had I spent all this money, I had this huge overhead. And now my next product launch that I thought was going to be this even bigger success didn't even do close to what the one before it did because the whole market had bottomed out. And so that's an extreme case. Like sometimes you might still be able to weather the storm, but it's important for this simple reason. And this is the takeaway from this. Sometimes bootstrapping or having a limited budget or limited time is actually the best thing that can happen to you. When you're in the situation, you're struggling, you're frustrated, you feel like all this pressure, but diamonds are formed by lots of pressure. And so is your managerial and leadership ability, your business skill, your acumen for business building, and all of these other skills. So when you are forced to just be you and the stuff that you got in front of you to get through the day and build your business, and you don't have a big budget and you don't have a lot of extra time, embrace that. Recognize that if you can do it under those circumstances, you can do it under any circumstances. And that's the brilliant thing about it. That's what's beautiful about it. Because when you recognize that and then you get back to those roots, and that, by the way, is what I did. I said, okay, this didn't work. So I stripped it all away. And I went all the way back down to brass tacks, got back down to the simple things that I was doing, got right back involved in the business and rebuilt it from scratch myself again. Because I knew that worked. And this time, as I'm growing it back again, I'm doing it in a much more slowly controlled way where each investment I make, I'm analyzing, is this something that I can use that's going to start to help me today? Every time I hire a person, do I have a defined role for this person where they're going to do a specific amount of work and I know how much it's going to take them to do it? Or am I jumping the gun? Because if I can't answer clearly what other people are going to do for me, and I can't articulate and answer how a new piece of technology or an investment in software or whatever it is going to help me right away, instantly. It can't be something I'm going to use 2 years down the road. I don't invest in it. No matter how good of a deal it is, no matter how great of an employee they are, no matter what it is, I don't hire people and I don't invest in things anymore unless it's something that's immediately actionable for me. That way I have total focus and total clarity. And that's the beauty with bootstrapping. When you are stuck, when you do not have lots of resources, you become extremely resourceful. you start to get maximum efficiency out of everything that you're doing. Even with your time, you start to realize, I don't have a lot of time for this, so I've got to find better ways to get this stuff done. I've got to find ways to get more efficient. I've got to find ways to repetitive things, to either outsource them or offload them. And I've got to find ways to stretch my dollars as far as I can. So with every new piece of software, I'm going to start with a 30-day trial. I'm going to use it. I'm going to ask myself, did I really use this? Am I using it? Is it increasing my productivity for my business? Because if it isn't, don't waste your money on it. It's something that's just going to sit on your hard drive or on your computer until someday you get around to using it. And that is a total waste, because by the time you get around to it, there'll be something better and cheaper anyway. And so if you're not in that situation, and maybe you do have all the resources you need, if you recognize that there is waste, that there is inefficiency in your business, I highly recommend you pretend that you need to bootstrap and that you limit yourself on everything that you're going to do. Watch every dollar like a hawk, even if you don't need to. Don't waste money on things you're not using. If you have recurring billing products or services that you're using, you haven't used them in a few months, cancel them. Go back to them later if you need them again. If there's, different, furniture or equipment that you need, if it isn't going to help you with what you're doing now, or if what you have right now can do the same job, forget the extra bells and whistles, stick with what you've got. If it's something core to your business, if it's something that's going to help you resell or make money, use it. If it's something that's going to help you get super efficient and save lots of time, use it. And if it's something that's core to your business, I need a good video camera and a good microphone and things like this, because if I'm going to do an online show, it has to be something that you're going to be willing to watch. If the show has terrible audio and terrible video, then you're not going to tune in. So that is something that's really important to what I'm doing. But for your business, whatever that is, that's where you want to focus it. And when you get good at that, and you get your business down to a very lean profile where you're not wasting any money or time, and you make processes for each of the things you do in your business so they're done in the most efficient, simplest way possible, growth and scalability becomes easy. Because all you do is, as you grow it, you apply the same principles to every bit of growth that you do. Every person you hire, you make sure you hold them to a standard. If they're not, all of their time isn't allocated, then you need to focus on that and fix it, or you need to get rid of them because it isn't helping you. You're wasting money. Every piece of technology and software that you're going to buy, or any piece of hardware or machinery or whatever for your business, even office space is the same thing. If you can get by in a 1,000 square foot office, don't get a 6,000 square foot office. It's a waste of money. Get 1,000. Believe me, there will be office space that opens up when you're ready to write a check that's bigger. No one is going to turn your money away. So that is a great lesson to be learned from bootstrapping and from not having all the resources that you might want, instead of looking at it as a negative and, this is really terrible. If only I had that. If only you had that and you didn't know how to use it, you'd waste a lot of money like I did. So take it from me, bootstrap your way, even if you don't need to. Have that mentality and build a lean, efficient business. And then you can scale it to any size that you want. And that is a huge secret to being successful. As always, if you have any questions or comments, share them with me on leverigeshow.com. And until next time, make it happen.